Hello everyone, this is Tanya from EDU TV with over 1 million eyes across 28 countries. Today I welcome you all to another episode of our program, It's a Matter of Principles on EDU TV, where we engage with top educational leaders on key issues shaping selected students. Today, we explore a crucial topic which is there in every student's journey, that is the smooth transition from schools to universities. And to shed the light on this, we're honored to have with us today Mr. Jonathan Warner, the headmaster of the British School, Algeria. With his vast experience, we look forward to valuable insights on equipping students for the academic and personal success in the university life. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. Many thanks for having me.
We also have with us a student from the Shining Star International School, Abu Dhabi, who will be taking up this conversation with Mr. Warner. Bridging the gap between structured school life and an independence life in the university can be both exciting as well as challenging. So today we shall focus on the small aspects like how can schools better prepare the students for this shift, and also what skills and guidance do they need to thrive into higher education. Let's get started. Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this honor. I would like to ask sir a few questions about how should we prepare for our university life. The first question goes on, how should the school and the university collaborate together for a smooth transition for the students?
It's a very good question, and I think it very much depends on where the student is aspiring to study. If you're looking at a distant international university connection, has to be said those collaborations are going to be relatively difficult to set up. If you're looking at something local, I think it's very important and a huge opportunity for both school and university to have very close ties and to work together in collaboration well into the younger years of a student's academic journey, and to try and develop meaningful collaboration, whether that's an opportunity for students to see laboratories or cutting edge research in action, or whether to look at entrepreneurial activities which can use university facilities. I've had successes with students who've been doing this sort of thing in their ages of 15 or 16, well before they were even certain on which university they were going to go. It becomes progressively harder the greater the distance we're looking at. There are lots of opportunities virtually. There are all sorts of collaborations which can be set up, whether it be a Model United Nations program or whether it be some sort of tuition opportunity with leading academics and a school. But you're looking at a massive playing field of all sorts of different institutions across the world. So locally, I think it's very, very likely the school should be doing this. If they haven't already, they need to be setting these things up. If internationally it becomes harder, one of the things I find is useful is if the school has a track record of sending lots of students to a particular university, it may be something that can be dealt with even if this is a completely international relationship. But that depends on the age of your school. I've run schools which are 100 years old. I've run schools which are brand new. And that takes time. It's not something you can achieve in 2 seconds. It takes track record and a sense of history and heritage before a school can really start to play on those relationships. But it's a vitally important thing to do, and I think it's something which both sides, the school and the university, get a lot of opportunity and credibility from, and I think it definitely assists the student.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would also like to ask you a follow-up question for the same topic. Would you like to suggest any programs for the schools that would enable them for the transition to the universities?
I think one of the best things you can possibly do is get students into, I mentioned laboratories earlier, but get them into, say, experimental physics or medicine or some of those big ticket STEM items which are extremely popular. Get them into the engineering departments and see what the cutting edge projects at that university are involved in. Maybe they can play a role in that. That might be a simple internship. It could be something which develops depending on the skill of the individual. But those are the areas which I've had the most success with. I think In the arts, it's a little more difficult, but for example, if you've got someone who's a tremendously gifted musician, why shouldn't they be involved in the music department? So I found it's easier within the hard sciences, but I think it's something which schools should push no matter what the discipline.
Thank you, sir. So moving to our next question, could you enlighten us with the challenges faced by the students when they transition from the school to the university life and the strategies that they can prepare for this transition?
One word, independence. That's what you have to have. A long time ago, when I used to run head of sixth form back in England, we spent a huge amount of time and effort in trying to develop independence for our students. Now, I was lucky this was a boarding school, so there was a lot of opportunity for children to learn how to cook, how to do their own laundry, how to sort their own lives out in general terms. And you can't actually understate that, because someone who starts maybe thousands of miles from home has no backup. So if you don't know how to do these things before you start, that's difficult. But it's more than just the sort of the basics. I think what you need to do is ensure that no matter where you go, you've got a certain amount of personal and cultural dexterity. I think it's very important, if you're going to get the most out of university life, that you've got that element of flexibility and the ability to change and alter yourself so you can work in effective teams with people from anywhere. Now, most international school students have developed a lot of this already, but it's by any means a given, depending on what they've experienced. Something you've got to work at, but I would add one proviso, which is you don't have to be a complete cultural chameleon. Don't think that whatever is absolutely core to you as an individual needs to be changed and replaced. There are plenty of things which are central to your identity, which you should never, ever alter, because that's who you are. But a sense of being flexible with others, I think, is critical. Building on that, though, making sure that you don't end up in a situation where the only people you make friends with speak your own first mother tongue language and come from a very similar culture to your own, that's a bit of a mistake. Make sure you reach out to people from many, many places, not just the nation which you're studying in, but from wherever they're from, because university is an amazing opportunity to link up with lots of people from lots of places. So do that. But at the same time, don't be frightened of joining perhaps the local cultural association from your home country, making sure you still have an opportunity to celebrate the holidays and festivals which matter a lot to you, and so you still have that sense of connection, because this can be quite an isolating experience, and it's not wrong to yearn for the things that matter to you and the things which speak of home. The other thing I don't think you can overstate is the ability to cook, particularly if it's something which, again, a taste of home which really matters to you. Before you leave, learn how to make it. I must admit, having lived away from the UK for, I think we're getting on for 13, 14 years now, I've been rather surprised by the amount of things I've learned how to cook completely from scratch, but there's no way I could possibly buy in the local shops of the many countries I've lived and worked in. And it's important. So develop that sense of independence, develop who you are, develop what you're open to, but don't be scared to say, hang on, that's what's core to me, and I will not split from that absolutely key element of my identity. So I think in general terms, that's what we're doing. Academically, there are more specific things we can talk about, but I think if you're going to be a successful academic, you need to be happy inside. So these things matter.
Thank you, sir, for your words. Last not but the least, I would like to ask you the last question, which is, what are the most important academic and personal skills that contribute to success at university, and how can a student develop them?
It's scheduling your time. I think one of the things which my colleagues and I often speak about a great deal with students as they're leading up the sort of the final 2 or 3 years before they go to university is developing that ability to challenge the forgetting curve. I don't know if there's something you've come across yourself, but effectively you need to learn to revise from the word go. Everything that you're learning, you need to be embedding from the beginning. This isn't something you wait till, days or weeks before the exams and start cramming. Start from the beginning. So schedule your time. You also need to be mindful of the fact that if you're going to be successful academically, you need to still have time for recreation. You still need to do your sport. You still need to be a rounded human being. These are the things which you're going to be talking about at job application and interview scenarios. They want to know that you haven't given everything up and welded yourself to the library. So have you got time to get involved in certain particular sports you enjoy? Are there things you've never had the opportunity to do which you'd love to at university? You need to make sure you've scheduled your time wisely to ensure you've got the hours you need. And usually at university, you'll have a great deal more flexibility in your time than you've ever had at school. So there's more time to play with. But have you got those times dedicated to your study sessions? Have you worked on strategies which make sure that you're going to be able to recap and revise and almost redevelop the notes that you're being given, and using the reading lists you're given? Are you able to develop revision guides and strategies? I find I've got to write them down. That's the way I was taught. But however you can record and capture that information which fixes it in your head, whatever works for you, make sure you've got the time to do it. And then, as I said, ensure that not all you do is work. That's not healthy. So make sure you get outside. Make sure you have an opportunity to get the body moving and the blood pumping, because that's what creates a healthy mind as well as a healthy body. And you need both, because if you're going to excel at university, you have to have both those skills going on. Otherwise, part of you isn't really achieving their potential, and that's not good. So it's a matter of balance, as all of these things are. Don't just stick yourself in a library or your room and never get outside, because you're missing huge opportunities which will never come again. Make sure you've scheduled time for both. And if you can do that, you'll have a great time.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance on the topic. Thank you.
It's my
Thank
very
you
great
so
pleasure.
much,
Thank you.
Mohammed. Mr. Warner, I have just one thing that I would want you to throw some light on. Talking about parents, so I wanted to understand what role, according to you, do parents play to ensure a smooth emotional transition for the students from schools to universities, please?
I think that's a very good question. Parents are obviously critical. You're moving to university, you are not leaving your parents behind. They're still a vital part of your growth. They're the support network, the primary support network, in terms of your emotional well-being. I think it's critical that you make opportunities to connect on a regular basis. I certainly have done this with my own children, and it's very important that you talk as frequently as they need to. I know with my son, he needs to talk about once every 2 weeks. My daughter likes to talk every 2 days. And it's dependent on what they need in order to feel secure and emotionally connected to the family. And whatever that may be, that's the way it should be. So for parents, listen to what your kids need. Listen to what they ask you for. Also give them space. They need to develop into the adults that you'll be proud of. So let them grow. You cannot control every aspect of your life. Frankly, why would you want to? Because if they're going to be independent adults in the future, you need to let them go and take those steps. It's difficult. I know it's difficult, but it's also critical in order to let them become the adults you can genuinely be proud of and that you want them to be. So be there for them when they need you, celebrating their successes when they come, and give them the space to be their own person. That would be my advice.
Thank you so much, sir. Also, a quick message for students who are going to be writing their board examinations, who are actually writing their board examinations right now. Certain tips that you want to give them, please.
I think it's a matter of, my top tip, don't try and revise all night before you go into an exam. People do this every time. I've lost count of the number of exams I've invigilated, and I can see everyone absolutely exhausted. How is this going to help you? This is crazy. Get a good night's sleep. Make sure you've done the work weeks in advance, not hours in advance. And you must prepare early enough. Doing it all moments before you sit the real thing will simply leave you exhausted, and it doesn't give your neurological net the time to encode any of that information. So prepare early. months early, weeks early, not hours early, and get plenty of rest before you get in. Eat well, get exercise, sleep well, and you'll be fine.
These tips are really going to be useful for all the students writing their examinations.